we're going to begin our review video for Section 8, or Chapter 8, Section 2, Chapter 8, Section 2. And the learning target is to solve two-step equations. We've been solving one-step equations for quite a while, but now we're going to start solving two-step equations. In other words, it takes two steps or two simplifications to move to the answer. Definition of a two-step equation is an equation that contains two different operations, and we need to work through both those to get to the answer. So here's an example. We've got 5x plus 1 equals 26. As I look at this, the first thing I need to do is move the plus 1 to the other side. So I'm going to do the opposite operation, which means I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides. So 5x plus 1 minus 1, of course those cancel out, leaving just 5x. 26 minus 1 is 25. I need to remove the 5x, or the 5, so I can find out just what x is, not 5x. The operation here is times multiplication, so I'm going to do the opposite operation to both sides. And I got 5x divided by 5 is just plain x. 25 divided by 5 is, of course, just 5. So the answer here is 5. Similar problem here. First thing I need to do is subtract 2 from both sides. The opposite operation of addition is subtraction, so I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides. So 3x plus 2 minus 2, the minus 2 and the plus 2 cancel out. I'm left with just plain 3x is equal to 20 minus 2, which would be 18. Then the second step is to divide both sides by 3. I'm dividing because originally it was multiplication, so I'm doing the opposite operation. So 3x divided by 3 becomes just x. 18 divided by 3 becomes 6. So the answer here is letter A. Excuse me. A little bit more complicated one here, but it's basically the same thing. I've got a negative 4 is equal to 1/3 z plus 2. First thing I need to do is subtract 2 from both sides. So 1/3 z plus 2 minus 2 becomes 1/3 z. These two cancel out. A negative 4 minus 2, negative 4 plus a negative 2 becomes a negative 6. So negative 6 is equal to 1/3 z. That's one step. But I don't want to know what 1/3 z is. I want to know what z is. So since I'm multiplying by 1/3 here, or dividing by 3 in effect, I'm going to multiply both sides by 3, opposite operation. 1/3 times 3 becomes 3 over 3, which goes to plain z. And negative 6 times 3 becomes 18. So negative 18. So negative 18 is equal to z. Negative 18 is equal to z, or z is equal to negative 18. Similar problem here. I'm going to start by subtracting 8 from both sides. So that leaves me with a negative 5 plus a negative 8 is equal to 1/2 times z. The 8's canceled out. So negative 5 minus 8 becomes a negative 13 is equal to 1/2 of z. All right, since I'm in effect dividing by 2 here, I'm going to multiply by 2 to get this to cancel out. Becomes 2 over 2, which is 1, leaves just plain z. And negative 13 times 2 becomes a negative 26. Negative 26 is equal to z, which is answer C. Similar problem here, but I'm going to start by subtracting 8 from both sides. 8 and a negative 8 cancel out, leaves a negative 3x is equal to 14 minus 8. So that becomes 14 plus a negative 8. Since the signs here are different, I take the larger one and subtract the smaller one. 14 minus 8 is 6. And I take the sign of the big one, so it's plus 6 is equal to negative 3x. I'm going to divide both sides by negative 3. Negative 3 divided by negative 3 is just x, or just 1. X then is equal to 6 divided by negative 3, which is negative 2. Negative 2. All right, this bottom equation, solve this one. I'm going to start. Let me rewrite this. So I'm going to say it's 5 plus a negative 2x is equal to 11. So I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. All right, these two 5's cancel out, leaving negative 2x is equal to 11 minus 5, which would be 6. I'm going to divide both sides by a negative 2. All right, these two negative 2's cancel out. X then is equal to a positive number divided by a negative number is equal to a negative number. And in this case, it's negative 3. X is negative 3, which is answer A. A little bit more complicated here because I've got some like terms that I need to combine first. So I'm going to say that this is negative 1k, actually it's 14, is equal to negative 1k plus 3k plus a negative 2. I'm going to factor this out, in other words, kind of the opposite of the distributive factor, and I'm going to say k times a negative 1 plus 3 plus a negative 2. Negative 1 plus 3 is 2, so I've got 2 times k plus a negative 2 is equal to 14. I'm going to, in this case, add a positive 2 to both sides because I'm adding a negative 2. If I add a positive 2, these cancel out. 14 plus 2 is 16. 16 is equal to 2k. Divide both sides by 2, and k becomes equal to 8. K becomes equal to 8. Similar problem here. Like terms I need to combine first. I'm actually going to skip a step here. I'm going to say a negative 1n plus 4n. Well, I've got a negative one of them. That means take one away. 4n. So 4n minus 1n becomes 3n. So 10 is equal to a negative 3n plus a negative 5. So now I'm going to add a positive 5 to both sides. Negative 5 plus positive 5 is, they cancel out. So 3n is equal to 15. Divide both sides by 3. N becomes equal to 5. N is equal to 5, which is letter B.